Okay, our webinar today is entitled Creating Portfolios for Transition-Aged Students. Remember that Family Matters is not a legal service and we cannot provide legal advice. Information received from Family Matters is not intended as a legal advice and should not be used in substitution for any legal advice. So Family Matters has many services, but we are primarily an educational advocacy helpline. We also hold the state's grant for the Educational Surrogate Parent Training Program. We have a volunteer advocacy project program. We'll be getting ready to start that off here in the new year. We're super excited about that. And we do trainings like this all throughout the year. So we do them virtually, we do them in person, we bring in other presenters, and they're all on different topics. So thank you for joining us for this one today. Like we talked about, the webinar is being recorded and you will be able to watch that at a later time. There's a question box, and the context of this PowerPoint were developed under the grant from the U.S. Department of Education. Okay. So during the after the training today, you should be able to meet these following objectives. So you're going to determine the purpose of creating a personal portfolio, determine what items to include in that portfolio and compile that information, and create this personal portfolio or assist others in creating their portfolio. And as I've stated, the question box is not super easy to access on this platform, so bear with me. So in the state of Illinois, a transition begins at age 14 and a half. Other states don't do transition plans until a little bit later on. We are kind of one-upping, not one-upping, I guess. We are kind of doing a little bit better than what the federal regulations say, and we start our transition plans at 14 and a half. And students can get educational support until the age of 22 if it's determined necessary by their IEP team. So a transition plan prepares a student for life after high school. It focuses on what education they may need to get to certain goals, what kind of programs they may want to attend, like colleges, agencies, vocational programs, jobs, and it helps them prepare for life after high school. So at age 14 and a half, you're going to start doing all sorts of assessments with your student. You're going to talk with your student openly about what goals they want for after high school. Now, a transition plan is a living document, just like an IEP, and it can be altered at any time. And I don't know about you guys, I'm 40 and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So I'm sure students are still at this time thinking about other options too. But the purpose of the transition plan is to determine basically, do you want education after high school? Do you want to go into a working field? Do you want both? What kind of supports will you need to get to the goals that you want to have? It also helps them identify who can help them to achieve these goals. But what's a portfolio? It's a combination of materials that showcases a person's achievements, talents, and skill set. So think a lot about like a resume. We're going to talk more about resumes later, but this is a binder, a folder, a file on your computer, but it's a compilation of all these materials that showcases the person's interests and their talents and helps us to understand who they are as an individual. That portfolio is going to showcase the student's talents and abilities and skill sets. It's going to help a student prepare for adult life, and it's going to assist students in pursuing their goals concerning education, work, and training. So what can be in this portfolio? Accomplishments that the student has achieved. Even if the student thinks they're minimal or minute, we want to include those in there. So if you're working with a student who's age 14 and a half, an accomplishment they may have achieved is, I completed 8th grade and I'm now a freshman in high school. That's going to open up things that they're going to talk about of everything they did when during their 8th grade year that they accomplished. Maybe they won a spelling bee. Maybe they went to school the entire year without missing a day. We're going to talk about the accomplishments that they have achieved so far with creating this portfolio. If they've graduated, again, from the 8th grade, or if they're graduating high school, maybe they've completed a program, we want to include that in there. Any awards they may have gotten. any boards or committees they may currently be serving on or have served on in the past, volunteer work that they've done, like if they've job shadowed, done any work experience, the classes and courses they have completed thus far to get them towards their goals that they want to have, any activities and recreation that they enjoy to do, and of course, we always include a resume. There's going to be information if the student has attended any conferences or training, if they have who their family and support system is, the accommodations they have needed thus far and would continue to need, important medical history, community involvement, quotes or letters and recommendation from people, any artwork that they may have done if it's, they have an interest in art, and photos of your student. So let's talk about graduation. Why is it important to have in a portfolio? Even if you have the intent to graduate, we want to, make a spot for that in our folder. Ethan has so far graduated from the 8th grade and is now a freshman in high school. He has intentions of completing high school with a high school diploma. We want to have that in there. We can share this portfolio with our IEP team with any jobs, any programs that Ethan may want to go into in the future, and then everybody knows what his intentions are. This is great because maybe the IEP team has different intentions than that. Maybe they think that Ethan will only complete high school with a certificate of completion. Having this information in our portfolio is a great way so that everybody is on the same page. And guess what? I don't know about you guys, but sometimes there's that problem where you have an IEP and every gen ed teacher knows that we have an IEP, but they don't know certain parts of it. This is a great way for them to understand what Ethan's goals are without opening the 80-page IEP and reading everything in it, which they do, but this is just a quicker way. How about awards? My son's currently working on his Eagle Scout, so that's there. So if you guys didn't know, I did not develop this presentation. Carrie did. I'm filling in for her. So she's made this huge joke and said that I've gotten an award for public speaking. I don't know about that. I probably got an award for talks the most in class, but I don't know about public speaking. But any awards the student has achieved are important here. If you don't know, an Eagle Scout award, there's only certain people that achieve that goal. It's very hard to achieve. So putting that in a portfolio is going to have people, maybe that you're applying to college, look at that differently and say, oh, he's committed to an Eagle Scout project. That's a lot of work. Or maybe if Ethan goes to apply for a job somewhere, they're going to see, oh, Ethan's working towards his Eagle. That's a huge deal. We know he's committed. So awards like Eagle Scouts, public speaking awards, maybe a 4-H accomplishment, something within school, a type of award is always important to include in there, because then someone that's looking at your portfolio knows that you're committed enough to to achieve and get your accomplishment of that award. And Brian, my middle son, is uber close to this Eagle Scout. I'll be so excited when we're finished. But what about if the student's a board member of something? Maybe they sat on their student council. Maybe they're a board member for the local library. There's many options. It's important that we include this information in our portfolios. So again, people that are reading through it, or if Ethan is expressing his portfolio to in an interview, that he has this information right there at his fingertips and can remember this while he's in the job interview. I know I always leave things out because I get nervous when I'm in an interview. So, having this portfolio can say, oh yeah, I forgot, I'm also on the Human Rights Committee for Hope School, or I'm also on, I serve as SBL for my local Scout troop. So it's important that you share this information for that reason. And this training is also really good for not only individuals with disabilities, but anybody. Anybody should create a portfolio to tell other people about themselves. Absolutely. And a big thing to make sure that you're telling a future employer, or maybe you went into school or you want to join a board, is the volunteer work that you've done. So let's say you work once or twice a month at the local food pantry or library. This is huge. Volunteer work can a lot of the times turn into a job for our students with disabilities. So when we're working on that transition plan, we start out with a volunteer position with support, and hopefully one day it'll grow into a paid position. So Zoe Potter, she's a self-advocate that works with our program quite frequently, started out volunteering at the local library and has now moved into a paid position at the library. So it's her dream job. She loves books. It's great for Zoe. So showcasing that in her portfolio, when she went to talk to them about a paid position, she was able to say, I volunteered here for 3 years. Here's my portfolio of when I started. I'm super excited. So think about this portfolio as a larger version than that resume that, again, we'll talk about in just a second. And we always want to include any job shadowing. So as a student works on their transition plan, maybe they have dreams of one day becoming a nurse. This is where my daughter's at right now. And we've started to arrange job shadowing for her so she can understand exactly what a nurse's role is and what they do. I think what Kira's seen so far about a nursing is from what she sees on TV. And that seems really fun and great, but there's more to it, of course. So job shadowing gives our students a chance to really grasp what job it is they think they want to do and narrow down if they want to put in the work to achieve that goal, or if they, after, if they want to do that job when they get there. I job shadowed a lot right out of college to see, what it was I wanted to do. But there's huge opportunities within our school. There's a school nurse you can job shadow, maybe an administrative assistant. Maybe you can work in the cafeteria. I know a lot of transition plans I review, a student will say, I want to work at Wendy's. It's my favorite place to eat. Well, they may job shadow in the student cafeteria and see what it's like to work in fast food or food service. And they're like, no, I don't think I want that. This is a great opportunity because we job shadowed, we saw what the job was all about, and we followed through with that. I'm going to check the question box real fast. Nobody's got a question yet, so that's great. And then, of course, our activities. Why is this important? Because, again, someone reviewing your portfolio is going to see what it is you like to do. What are you committed to doing? Scouts is huge, if whether it be Girl Scouts or the BSA program, a Cub program that you finished. Employers, college staff, admission people, they see this and they see that you're committed to being in a program like Scouting that teaches great values. 4-H is another great program, and we're located here in Central Illinois and at Family Matters. So 4-H is huge in our area and they offer scholarships. That's huge. So if I am a case manager working on like a transition case coordinator working on your portfolio with this student and he says, oh yeah, I've done 4-H for 10 years. Guess what? The light went off in my case manager brain that said, don't they offer scholarships? Let's look into this. Book club's another one, or maybe your student gaming clubs are huge right now. Our district has a gaming club that kids are doing. Sounds like, oh, great, they're playing video games after school, but it's actually been really, really awesome for them and they enjoy it and they've made some friends. So again, your portfolio is super, super important to have because we're going to need it later on to make sure you're getting the appropriate transition services. Oh, a resume. I don't like making resumes. I've only made a few in my life. One of them was even a college assignment that I did. I think one was a high school assignment too. So we're going to work with the student on making their resume. But guess what? There's lots of agencies that will help you make a resume. So your local employment office will help you make a resume, or a job center, like a job finding center. Some Department of Rehabilitation case coordinators can help you make a resume. There's lots of resources out there. So the students, is basically taking this giant portfolio that we all just put together, and we're putting it in this resume format. So it's like a letter that an employer can look at really quickly and say, oh, okay, I see that Brian has earned his Eagle Scout. Oh, I'd like to know more about that. If Brian has shared that portfolio with his future employer, the employer can then thumb through to the activities or awards page and see, oh yeah, he did. He put up fishing lantern cycles around the lake. Oh, I bet he really does like conservation. Well, I'm glad he's applying for this job through the Corps of Engineer. So it just runs in there. And by the way, all names that I'm using are my own kids. So, but anyway, it's important that we have these resumes included in the portfolio. It's a way we can go back and look at different things. And resumes aren't super fun to make, but they're doable, right? They're doable. So there's lots of different agencies that can help put resumes together. Now, let's think, has your student ever been to any conferences or training? Kira, my daughter, has been to our local transition conference, and they print out a certificate while she's there. I know Zoe just went to Speak Up and Speak Out. The girls both did civic leads. Like, there's lots of different conferences and trainings that Kira has been exposed to because she's my daughter and she works here. But if your son maybe is in FFA at school, so there's a club that he's in and that's in our portfolio, chances are he has been to FFA convention. I never went to FFA convention, but chances are he's been there, and there's a certificate that comes along with it. FFA convention is huge. So if your son's applying for an agriculture related field job or maybe towards school, and he has a certificate in the portfolio that shows he went to convention for 3 years or 1 year or whatever, that's awesome. Then he has that to proof to show that he's committed to that program, which transfers into committed to the course of study or the job. So it's important that we include those certificates or even a description that you have been to those conferences and training in the portfolio. Now let's talk about our family and our support system. This is where we're going to include a name of each person and how they provide support to you. Just like an IEP or transition plan, your portfolio is an ever living and growing document, so you don't have to enter them all in at one time, and you can keep adding them to it. But it would be important to list people like, these are my parents, they're my support system, show pictures of them, these are their phone numbers, this is how they help me. Or maybe your PUNS or ISC or service coordinator, like from Prairie Land or CISA, and we're going to include that in there too. Maybe your special education teacher at school, like your case coordinator, you would put Robin Carswell, and this is her name, and this is what classes I take with her, and this is how she supports me. So you're all going to include this in your family support system. And it's very important to have that in there, again, so you can share information with others on how you may need help. Maybe you've got a new case coordinator from, like, you're working with Doors now, you're working with a job coach. If she has this portfolio, she can thumb through here and see, oh, okay, he's a Prairie Land, he gets Prairie Land support, he works with this person at Prairie Land, and this is his special education teacher at school that he worked with for that past 4 years. I'm going to set up a time to really talk about this individual and how we can support them in their vocational role. So it's very important to include that support system in your portfolio and very specifically state how those people help you. Now, how about some accommodations? Now, think about those accommodations that your student or you receive in your IEP. Let's list them here. Why? Because when you get to college, if you're going to college, this is what I found out personally with my son, Brian. He's taking some college classes, and Brian has a 504 plan. And I told him, make sure you're sharing with your professors some of those accommodations that you have written in your 504 plan, or your grades are going to struggle. But it's Brian's responsibility to contact the student service department at Lakeland. I can't do that for him. I really cannot do that for him. Like, it's not just I'm teaching him a lesson. Like, I called the student service department and I said, hey, I just want to let you know, here's a copy of my son's 504 plan. And they said, that's really great that you share this, but it's Brian's responsibility to reach out. So if your student has this portfolio put together with a page of accommodations, guess what? When he's walking into TRIO, into student services, and says, hey, my name's Brian, I have a 504 plan, here's all about me, those accommodations are listed in there. And some accommodations may be something like an audiobook compared to reading maybe tests taken in like a quieter place. A scribe is used a lot. Reduced workload. You're not going to see that so much in college as you do maybe in high school, but it could happen for sure. So it's important that those accommodations that the student need be listed there. And something I know that happened way back when I went to Lakeland like 100 years ago. I had a student in my class that needed to park in the handicap parking. And she had a sticker, but she didn't have a Lakeland handicap sticker. And she had not shared this information with Lakeland. And guess what? She got a ticket, and then her car got towed after the second time. So had she shared that portfolio with the student service department and had that there that she needed the accommodation of handicap parking or longer to get back and forth to class, she wouldn't have been, her car wouldn't have been towed eventually. So yeah, it's important that we share these accommodations, and that way everybody knows and there's not these huge hurdles to jump over right now. How about our medical needs? It is so important that we teach our students and our kids how to advocate and understand their medical health. But having it listed in your portfolio is literally life-saving. So if your student has epilepsy, like my student does, that needs to be listed in their portfolio. Any food allergies that they may have, any restrictions they may have, any surgeries in their past. I don't mean like a word for word medical history, but talk with this about your doctor, with the student's doctor. What would be important to have in their file so people knew, and make sure that we put that in there. My son is transitioning from student services to adult placement services, and we have a portfolio put together so that everybody that's working with him as he does his visits at the potential new home knows that he has epilepsy, what type of epilepsy, what might trigger his epilepsy, what medications, what happens if he does have a seizure. This is all very important. He also has food allergies, so it's important that they know what happens if he should accidentally eat this certain thing. So the portfolio is great. Can you tell this person all day long and can they write it up in paperwork? Yes. But if they have a portfolio that is easy for all staff to grab, then they're going to understand his needs a little bit better. So no one likes seizures, no one likes food allergies, of course, but this is a great way to share that medical information with people that are going to be in your student's life all the time. I'm currently working with a student that attends a local community college, and she's developed, unfortunately, a type of like seizure disorder. And we talked about ways that she could, like an emergency bracelet she could wear. But that's great. It says she has epilepsy, but it's not. She needs more than that. So mom and I worked together, and we made these little cards that said all about the student, what happens when she has a seizure, what we should do, and she carries those with her in her pocket, and she puts them in her student portfolio. So the medical information included with your portfolio can be life-saving. Okay, again, I'm going to check the questions box, and I don't see any. Okay. And we want to showcase our community involvement. How we've been, and now this is going to might go along with your volunteer work. It might not. Maybe you're not specifically volunteering, but you're part of a, caroling organization that goes around and carols, but really showcase that community involvement and how committed you are to that community involvement. It's important to include in our, I feel like I keep saying it's important, but it's very important to include that in our portfolio so that others understand where our commitments lie. Maybe they see that, oh, you're on the local fire department. This is something I need to consider. Will you have to leave work if there's a fire call? It's important to include this in with our portfolio for those reasons, and along the lines of, oh, he's been like at the animal shelter for the last 5 years. So I wonder he wants to do animal science at this college. Let's move him to this stack of kids to consider for our program. Artwork's huge. If your student does artwork, even if they don't feel like they're good at it, showcase that in that portfolio. We hear about artists having a portfolio all the time, but let's share the artwork that our students have done, and let's share with them, share with others, and showcase their talents. It doesn't just have to be paintings. If they like to do crafts, if they like to sew, include that in there. So portfolio formats have kind of come a long way since I left high school, but there are a lot done in digital form now. Family Matters has been playing around a lot with Canva lately, and so Canva has great templates. Canva is also free. They have a free version for anybody. This is something that you can call here to Family Matters and get an appointment with Carrie or myself, and we'll help you put together your student portfolio on Canva. So Canva is a great resource to try. Great templates to do. PowerPoint's always there if you're going to go Microsoft old school. I think Google has a Google Slides option as well. There's always the paper format. Let's do it all on Microsoft Word or in a scrapbook or booklet or brochure. Again, that's something that Family Matters can help you with. So we're encouraging you to reach out and say, I really want my student to have a portfolio. Can I get an appointment to get this done? Carrie and I would be more than happy to help you with that area. Who can help your student make that portfolio? Well, you as the parent or caregiver or family member, a teacher, a peer, a friend, or agencies like Family Matters, DOORS, job centers, employment offices. And portfolios are a form of person-centered planning, and it can be used to help a person with a disability identify those strengths in the areas that they need support. Carrie and I also do MAP plans here. We can include that MAP plan right in your portfolio so then people understand what you're working towards and where you may need support. Again, we encourage you to reach out for MAP appointments with our office. Abby's plans. Okay. So let's start out with our story. I'm going to talk about Abby here a little bit. So Abby is finishing up her bachelor's degree in human services with a focus on disability services. And my dream is to have my bachelor's finished and stay in my role here at Family Matters as an information specialist and educational surrogate parent trainer. My gifts and strengths. Carrie says I've won an award for public speaking because I like to talk. I feel like I'm a caring person. So look, this looks a lot like an IEP plan, right? I'm a caring person. I like to teach and I teach well, and I make sure that I try to stay very well organized and things to be in the place that they need to. A dream of mine would be to my dream. I would like to, I currently work in a paranormal location as a tour guide. I hope one day to own my own paranormal location, so my own haunted building. That's a dream that I have. And I need money from a job to get to that dream. So guess what? We're back to my story and where I'm at and what I want to have. My fears, believe it or not, I have a very big fear of public speaking in front of people. The virtual format is awesome. And the supports I would need, because I am worried about public speaking, I practice a lot. I work with my coworkers, you know, and we put that in there. So we have your story, your strengths, your dreams, your fears, the supports I need, and the action to get to that goal. So very simple little Abby's dream there. This portfolio can be shared with lots of people, but specifically IEP team members, because at age 14 and a half, our students start coming to their own IEP meetings. They're required to. When you share this portfolio with the IEP team, everybody knows where that student wants to be. They see their person-centered plan and they know what they want to do. Colleges or post-secondary education programs. Kira's right now applying to go to the PACE program at National Louis University up by Chicago. So she had to submit a student portfolio to see if she qualified for it. Maybe future employers, family members. Davin's is my oldest son, and his portfolio is shared with lots of family members. So if something would happen to myself or his dad, others would know how to take care of Davin and what his needs would be. You know, this is who his doctor is. This is when he goes to therapy. This is who cuts his hair. This is where his bank account is. This is where we hope for him to be placed someday. This is the name of his specialist. This is his name of his running buddy, Miss Peggy. So we share that portfolio with other family members so that our student is supported should we not be there to support our student. And then, of course, parent and caregivers. This is a great way if you are co-parenting with a spouse that you're not in a relationship with anymore. Sharing the portfolio back and forth helps to keep that other spouse updated on everything that's going on with your student. So back and forth, maybe when they're with dad, they learned that they really, really love to research rocks and geology on a trip that him and dad had. You can put that in your portfolio and you can share that information back and forth. That's the way the virtual portfolios are great, like in Canva, because it's a living document you can add to and updates immediately. I think Google Slides does the same thing. So keep that in mind. So we talked about the examples, lots of them. We talked about all the way through about different clubs you can add there, different board things you can add on and why. This is a good example of what your first page is going to be. So this is Abby. I'd put a picture of myself there. Grade in school, I'm wearing my bachelor's at Walden University. So and I actually do have a student portfolio through Walden. It's part of their program that they have there, and we're always adding different things to it. So like research papers or presentations that we put together all goes on our portfolio so that we have that forever. And then I'm part of like the Golden Key National Honor Society through Walden, and another Alpha Chi chapter for Human Services. So all that's included in my portfolio as well. We'll talk about my learning strategy, that I'm an auditory learner. I don't like math. My strengths, I make people laugh. I'm a good friend. This is really nice because Carrie put this together for me, so it makes me smile. I make people laugh. I'm a good friend, and I love reading. My interests are reading, gaming, dancing. So let's put this all together here. Again, with a photo maybe of me doing one of those activities. Form of method of communication that works for me. I like verbal communication. I know some sign language. I may need assistive technology, like with a communication device. We're going to include that here in this example of the portfolio. When you're communicating with me, it's important that you speak slowly and clearly and give me time to process what you said. We're going to list our work skills here, that I'm good with people, I'm on time and dependable. On time sometimes is questionable. Work experience, and so I've done some job shadowing, like I job shadowed at a local domestic violence center and interned there for a while. I volunteer through Scouts, I volunteer through lots of different agencies and organizations. And the paid jobs that I currently have are I'm a tour guide at Ashmore Estates, and I'm also an information specialist and educational advocate for Family Matters. Again, maybe a photo of me at Ashmore or a photo of me here at the office if I'm maybe applying for a promotion. The good thing about it, when you have a virtual format of your portfolio, you can change your picture out for whatever you need it for. So if I really want to work at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, it's another paranormal location, I could change my picture here to an Ashmore picture, whereas before I had me in a Family Matters picture. The career goals I'd like to have are to continue to help people, work in an office. Maybe I want to work in a movie theater or work with animals. I'm going to list those here. So my career goal might be work full-time for Family Matters, continue to get promotions, type of thing. So we're coming to the end, people. I'm sure you're excited to be all done with me today and get back to your regular lunch break. So some resources where we got this information today really come a lot from the ISB Parents Guide. You can click on this little button here. It's also be emailed in the slides that you get today, but we actually at Family Matters have hard copies of this. So if you ever like this document mailed to you, please send us a message and we'll get that right out to you. parenthub.org/student involvement. And of course, PACER is our huge resource for all transition related resources there. And that shows our little, sorry. I keep clicking on it. Okay. And I'm Abby Mars, the information specialist here at Family Matters. I've been with Family Matters since 2020, right in the middle of COVID. I have almost a bachelor's degree in human services, specializing in disability-related services. My passions for this organization are really under the transition area of things. I love helping kids map out their futures. You can contact me by emailing me at amars@fmptci.org, or you can contact our office in the usual way. So I enjoyed our time together today. I hope you learned more about student portfolios and why they're important to put these together for our students or for our own selves or any person that we may be working with. I hope I even gave you some ideas on how to create that portfolio. If you'd like help creating your own portfolio or helping a student create their portfolio, please reach out to Carrie or I here at Family Matters. We would love to schedule an appointment to do that. You don't have to come in the office. We can do it virtually. So we'd be happy to hear from you and put that together. So again, thank you for joining us today.